to line up with one hand. There it is. What's going on, guys? Back again. This week we're actually going to mount the rad. Last week was one of those weeks nothing quite goes right, bits don't fit as you expect them, and we didn't really get enough done. This week we're going to do that and some more. I think without further ado we should just crack straight on and see how it goes. Let's go. Straight out the bat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some bits and pieces, get this shored up at the bottom, get a level on the top. Don't have one that makes the noise, but we'll get this level, get this measured, cut some of these here bits of tube, and just get this sat in there. Garage is a hole, shouldn't swear. Let's crack on. When I cut the stainless exhaust, the blade is not very happy. Whoops. Bosh, there it is. One on each side. I don't know if you see, but annoyingly this rad is differently spaced at the tops and the bottoms. Another reason why I'd probably advocate not using this rad for this conversion, but it's what I've got and I can't be bothered to spend another 50 quid on a different one. We're making it fit. These need profiling a bit, so I'll do that. I'm going to leave a little gap on each side where this slope is, and that will let the water drain out. But I think let's get it profiled, get them stuck in with the metal glue gun, and then we'll look at the top. So, as I mentioned a minute ago, that side is higher than this side. This side with a little bit of fettling will sit beautifully. Just need to do some trimmage as before and just let in a little tiny slither of pipe. This side, however, not so good. So, obviously, I have to modify the plastic rad. Not really what I wanted to have to do. Should be fun, but I just need to drop this down basically to the level of that somehow. So that should be an interesting one. I'll come back once I've done some epic bodgery. It's probably fair at this point to just congratulate me on my genius. Just need to get some epoxy or something to stick that in there. But I'm getting mighty handy here, sculpting with the old grinder. But that's enough to get the mock-up done at me tinks. So let's move on and have a look at getting the top rail done. I'll mount it, mark it, and then we'll come back. In case you can't tell from my voice, I have lurgies again, which seems to be a current theme since being released post-COVID. But anywho, I'm trying to avoid speaking too much because I don't feel brilliant. But this is the biggest cock-up we've made here. I've made. Always try and blame it on you lot. There's a gap here and there's a funky profile, so that is going to be crap to try and fill in. But otherwise, I think let's just blast a couple of tacks in. I'll prep this back, blast a couple of tacks in, and then just make it look good and factory, and then we'll whip this panel off, and I'm just going to flush it all off and make it look factory as. With the aid of a piece of copper bar, we filled that in again with weld. Shed loads of work to do to flat it back and make it look nice, but both sides are in. I'm not going to put it on yet because it's roasting hot, but that's that. Progressed heavily, so I'll get some sculpting with the grinder and we can have a look at this in situ on the car, maybe even with some of that terribly paint matched paint on it as well, so that'll be wicked. Good progress. So as per usual, I started getting way carried away with trying to make this look good. I had to rein myself in, but if I can get this to line up with one hand, there it is. Literally such a bad colour match on that paint, but it's in there, looks good, and blimey, sheepy windy today. Next thing, I'm just going to stick that little rad fan on that I've got and pray that it's enough cooling. And then, after some discussions in the comments previously, I'm going to sack off the secondary air injection and just pray that the ECU isn't too sad about it. I will stick a resistor that I've got to yet to work out the value of in place of the pump, so the ECU thinks it's sending power to the pump and can see that. And then I just have to try and heat sink it to the chassis. So that means I think all I need to do now is make up this front engine mount finally, and then I'm going to be in a position where we're going to rip this out and put the final engine in with a little intermission to weld up all of the holes that I cut to make it fit in the first place. So I'm going to get out my snazzy new chop saw and we're going to chop up some metal and make a front engine mount. So let's have a look at that in a slight deviation from the original plan of this video. Stuck the rad fan in there. One of, if I need to, I can get a second one, probably just squeezed in there. Definitely a snug fit, to say the least. I've got the shifter cable mount here. So the shifter cable on the Yaris is like, they mount back here, and these aren't going to reach to there. So it looks like we need to use the Celica shifter cables on it. Luckily I have already nicked them off the car. It's raining, which is lovely, but I think next step is inevitably looking at this engine mount. So I'm going to knock up some brackets to fix it, as discussed in a previous video. I'm also going to stick the clutch slave on and get that in place so that I know what space I'm working with. Get this bar mounted, and let's go. I have just cut a couple of little plates, and those little plates will get welded on the end of this here big old piece of metal. On each end, I'll open those holes out when I know what size bolt I'm going to put in, and then I need to make the captive plates, which will get welded on to the chassis legs. This is a little angle jig. I'm making up some little cantilever tables for someone. If anyone was wondering what that is, that's what it is. Anyway, let's get these stuck on each end of that. Anyone who follows this this channel will have seen me using, somewhere down here, this little vicey thing from time to time, crawling around on the floor. I was in Lidl the other day, my new favourite place, and I found myself this little bad boy. So hopefully no more crawling around on the floor. Been needing a bench vise for absolutely ages. Now we have one. These are my new little end mounts, which are going to be welded to the chassis leg. Just need to get them in the vise. I need to cut the backs off so that I can weld some captive nuts in there. I'm not going to weld this to the chassis yet. I'm just going to mark its position with the rad in so I know where it sits fore and aft, so it doesn't clash with anything. And then for next step, we're going to potentially be pulling the engine, I think, and just closing everything out, getting everything welded, finalising the engine mounts, closing in the subframe, closing in the chassis, and then we can look at putting in the newly acquired working engine, which is going to be wicked. So I'm going to mount my new snazzy bargain £20 vise, get these cut out, get the captive nuts welded in, and then we can have a little round up, I'm thinking. There we go, drilled them out to a suitable size, capped off the ends nicely, all looks good. Knocked these up, again capped off the ends on all of them, which is wicked. So that's ready to go in, and we'll tack it in place. I'll mark it up, tack it in place, and good progress. Now seems like as good a time as any to quickly go through how things are with the channel. This video is a little bit late, if you keep astride of such eventualities. I'm moving the way that I do things slightly, so we're going to go for a fortnightly format. Hopefully that means I can get a better edit to you guys, and it just gives me a bit less, or a bit more time rather, to sort these things out. It was getting a bit hectic, a bit stressful, and it was kind of taking the enjoyment out of the build. So we're going for fortnightly, similar level of detail, and I'm going to try and keep them around 10-15 minutes because that seems to be popular with the viewers. I'll let you know of the exact date, but this one's coming out I think on the Wednesday, maybe Tuesday if I really pull my finger out. But yeah, another one. I don't know if it feels like we got that much done, but going forward hopefully we'll have some really good, really concise episodes, really detailing good progress. Thanks for watching as always. Thanks to the now 135 at the time of filming this people who have subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please give us a like, give us a sub, and I'll see you probably in about a week and a half this time. So until then, see you later.